I'd like to call to order the Hatfield Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting for October 25, 2023. Roll call.
President Zipfel.
Here.
Vice President Rogers.
Here.
Commissioner Andrus. Commissioner Lees.
Here.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
So we have, everyone in the room, almost everyone in the room is here, particularly for a very special recognition of Police Officer Mike Burdick. And to start off our evening, Mike, if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, you just get started and then we'll all follow.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
So the fun stuff that you're all here for is just a couple of minutes away. We still have to do a couple of housekeeping items, and we're going to get through those as quickly as possible. So is there a motion for approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers, second by Commissioner Lees. As you can see, I've got two commissioners with me, so there's going to be a lot of firsts and seconds or vice versa. So any questions or comments about the agenda? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor of moving forward with that agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Consent items. Is there a motion to move the consent items into the record?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner,
We'll just point at each other.
motion by Commissioner Lee, second by Vice President Rogers. Those consent items include the Board of Commissioners workshop meeting of October 11, the Board of Commissioners regular meeting of September 27, the Treasurer's report for the month of October, the bills payable, paid bills in the amount of $3,338.58, and unpaid bills in the amount of $1,101,329.55. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor of moving those into the record, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, those are approved. Okay, citizens' comments on agenda items only. Right, I don't see anyone running up. So, as I said, that was as painless, hopefully, as possible. And now on to the fun stuff. Our recognition of Police Officer Mike Burdick's retirement and 25 years of service to the Hatfield community. Chief, if you would get us started. Absolutely, I'd be honored.
Lisa to come up with you? Lisa, you want to come up with him? Just so everybody knows, if you think the audience is thin, a few hours ago we had about 60 people in here for a luncheon for Mike, so a lot of people were here earlier. Don't think this is any reflection on him because it's certainly not. We had the room filled earlier. And I want to preface this. Every time we get to this point with an officer, I think it's so hard to encapsulate like the individual in a few words, the person, the officer. But I'll do my best to give you a little bit about Mike. So Mike has been with us since 1998. Mike is the kind of person every department needs. He's never been a guy who's been looking for fame. He just did his job. He was on the tactical team. He was a taser instructor. He was the less lethal training instructor, and he's what I would call a foundational officer. He was steady, determined, accountable, trustworthy, and honorable. If Mike was given a task, we always knew that it would get done. Mike didn't require a lot of direction. He always understood what was in hand. We weathered many changes together. When he's been around for a full career, we laughed at many things. Retirements together. We saw families born together, and we lost some dear friends together. It's amazing at what happens when you recount someone's career, which is what I said in the beginning. It's almost impossible to say what this man meant to us. Paper, impossible. Mike grew one hell of a beard, too. He grew a beard like one of the G.I. Joes that had a beard. Overnight, he could grow the darkest beard and the thickest beard that I think anyone has ever seen. So I'm impressed by that. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Mike, in the end, I'm honored to have served with you. I'm glad we walked this path together. I know all of our officers feel the same way, and we wish you nothing but the best. You made it to the end. Enjoy your retirement. You earned every minute. You always have a friend in Hatfield.
So I've had the distinction over the last few years or more to be in a position where I've handed out badges for people who just joined us and for people who have retired, police officers that have retired. And so it's always a little bittersweet for sure. Certainly, none of the commissioners work with the officers every day, but I have to tell you that we hear great things all the time, not just as a department, but on an individual basis. And Mike is no exception to that. So to us, it's, our police officers are on a pedestal, and this is our evening when we're able to say as commissioners, and with a little bit of recognition, to say not only thank you for maybe an individual moment that you were recognized for, that we heard about, but really for 25 solid years of being on the job. There are not a lot of people who can, well, not many people last 25 years in any particular job anymore, right? Especially at the same location. But in this field of being a police officer, to be able to do that and to retire with distinction, I have to tell you, there's very few and far between people who are able to do that, and it's our honor to be able to say thank you for that. So, and also, I always try and remember the spouses. We haven't met, but I have to tell you, I know from experience, from talking to the other officers, that the commitment that you give and what you've given back to the township quietly, being his spouse, being his wife, and those times when he's either gone off for last minute whatever, or just been on the job longer than he needed to be, or coming home and having really dealt with the troublesome or the most troublesome problems in the township, and they were on his shoulders, and then he brings it home to you. We recognize that tonight, and I know that Chief wants to speak to that a little bit. So it's not just an evening for Mike, it's an evening for you as well. So thank you on behalf of the entire township. So it's with my honor, I give this to you.
We have a plaque for you, Mike, with your badge and our patches on it, and a card when you were a young man, and a card when you were an older man. But
That's really nice.
Thank you for everybody that came out earlier, and for the couple of guys that showed up tonight. And everybody else is stuck on the domestic, so it's been an honor and a real privilege to serve the Hatfield community for 25 years. It's quite a journey, difficult at times, but really fun at times, and I've enjoyed my time here at Hatfield, so I can't thank you enough for tonight's honor.
not out of it yet. The kid's got to come up and. Been anxious for this since earlier today when they get dragged into pictures.
Before you all leave, I neglected to thank Mike's kids. And, you know, I meant what I said about, you know, when your dad left to go to work and then came home with the burden of being a police officer on his shoulders, you know, that's a important burden that someone needed to take. And we're thrilled that he was able to do that for us for 25 years, but we're also understanding of the fact that, you know, that probably has an effect on you guys as far as what his commitment is, his commitment to the township. And so for your sacrifice, I want to say thank you as well. Okay, now to the rest of the boring stuff. So feel free to stick around or run for the doors as most people normally do. Thank you for coming out, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a few action items, and then I think that's it for the evening, so not too much tonight. But first action item is a capital purchase, so it's regarding the GMC and Sierra. Is there a motion for approval of the purchase from Bergey's GMC for $52,351 for the GMC Sierra 3500 HD as budgeted?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lees. Aaron, if you want to, I know that this is a housekeeping item in the sense that it's voting on a budgeted item, but I don't know if you, something else to add.
That's pretty much it, Mr. President. It's our only capital purchase for Public Works and Parks this year. It just took a while for the inventory to purchase it, and it's finally here and being put to use after it's approved here. That's pretty much it. You hit it on the head. But as budgeted, under budget. Yeah.
And under budget. Under
Good
budget.
number. Under budget.
Under budget.
Budgeted 60. Yeah.
Right.
It's a good number.
That is good.
Sober, but yeah, good number.
Right. Okay, with that, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Action item number 2, is there a motion for approval with regard to the host municipal agreement for grant for the HTMA?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Lees.
Second.
Second by Vice President Rogers. Aaron, I think you got all of these tonight, right?
President, they are all housekeeping nature, but it's worth noting
Right.
about each. Some of them we talked about a few weeks ago. This one we did not. HTMA, our sewer authority, is applying for some grant funding. It's something they've been doing now recently and with success. This one's to the state, and they can't apply without our sponsorship as the host municipality. So this is simply saying that we will be the applicant. However, all the funds will come through us and into the authority project that they're applying for if they would win the grant. Action item.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Action item number 3, Resolution 23-14. Is there a motion for approval with regard to the grant application for seeking $1 million from the statewide local share assessment program?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lees. Aaron, I think you've got this one as well.
Sure. Hopefully, HTMA doesn't take all the money from the state as we're both
Right,
applying for
right.
funding, but
That would be good.
they'll leave some for us. This is $1 million specifically for our police station project from the LSA account, the local share account. Again, one of almost a dozen grants we're going to be applying for this project. So this one specifically is for $1 million, and we're going to apply for $8 million total. So this is approval just to submit the grant.
All right. That's an easy one, I think. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor of 23-14, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Palmer Fire Station Building Repair Reimbursement, $29,302. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Lees.
Second.
Second by Vice President Rogers. I know we've talked about this a couple of different occasions, and I think this is the housekeeping item for repairs for, really, it's like it says, it's maintenance, repairs, reimbursement, right?
Exactly, yeah. Ongoing project just to make the station a little safer. This one specifically for some electric repairs, some upgrades, and a few more will be coming our way, but the project is coming to an end.
Okay, great. All right, with that, I'm going to call a question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Easement agreements, the police station project. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lees. This sounds exciting because it's related to the police station.
Yeah, a lot of police station agenda items, and there will be more coming our way over the next few months and then next few years, really. This one, and we'd like to thank the neighbor. One good thing about the new site is there aren't many neighbors, and there's only a few residents and there's a few businesses. And so far, we've met with all of them, and they've all been very cooperative. They're all excited about the project. These easements in particular for the neighbor right next to the building, Barry Wasserman Insurance Agency. And, we absolutely would love to publicly thank Barry for all of his cooperation. He was with us Monday. He signed the agreements and has been project since the beginning. And now the board needs to approve these. This will allow us to widen the driveway. That will give better visibility to our nature area with better signage, as well as his access into the business. There's permanent easement and a temporary construction easement, as well as we're going to be putting in sidewalks in front of Wasserman in our first step to get sidewalks all along Cowpath to clean up that whole corridor. So this is one big step complete. We have some more easements that we need to obtain from across the street, the giant shopping center, which we're working on now. Those will be the two big PennDOT approval for the highway occupancy permit for that signal. So we're making good progress.
Okay, great. Questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Invoices for Stewart Basin. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lees. Our last action item of the evening.
Another ongoing project, almost coming to a completion. A few more invoices. There may be one more coming our way to complete it, but a lot of the landscaping is in. There's been a lot new plantings, and we're hearing some positive feedback from the neighbors, so we're finally coming close to finishing that project.
That's good news. That's great news. All right, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Comments? Any citizens' comments on agenda or any items?
I have one item. Yesterday morning, I got the chance to tour the training center over at the substation for Hatfield Fire Department. I really got to hand it to those guys and gals. Level of effort and dedication they put into making sure they're up to speed and trained to be able to handle any situation within our incredible. Hats off to those guys. It just, not only are they putting their lives on the line at times, but the training center that they put together to make sure that they train properly and all the little details that they put into it. They have a kitchen they got to go through. I mean, an apartment complex type thing. It's just incredible what they did over there. So I really got to hand it to them.
The nice thing about it is with the containers, they can change things around. So they're not going to get used to the same setup every time, so they can mix it up and make it dark and smoky in there with the artificial smoke.
They can move the doors.
So they can move doors, they can move everything around.
Yeah.
And the other thing they do is they invite all the neighboring fire departments like Hilltown and Colmar and Montgomery and Lansdale, and they can all come over and use it. So it's great for the whole community. It's fantastic. Thanks to the guys from Hatfield Fire
Incredible
Company
what they do. Yep.
and everybody involved in that project.
Great, even better, they can bring others, other local departments in and have them work. Great. The one time that early on in my being a commissioner, township manager went over for an evening where they gave us, put us in a smoky room with equipment, and it was one of the most fearful moments of my entire life. So I recognize that every time we try and recognize them, is that they do not have easy jobs, and it's all volunteers. So I know we say it, but thank you to all of them at Hatfield and Colmer who put in so much time and effort. So thank you.
President, do you want to admit how long you lasted in that building publicly? Probably not.
You know, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and I learned what one of my weaknesses was that evening, rather quickly, actually. I think the crawling distance that I made was about 4 or 5 feet, and then realized that if I went back, I could get out the door, and that's how the evening went. So I think we only have one quick scheduling announcement. Is it next week is our budget meeting?
Yes, next week. November 1, 6:30 in this room, Budget Goals Workshop.
Yep. And then we have, then we'll have our meeting in November, and then we're anticipating that budget approval would happen in December.
December, and all the drafts, and I know Commissioner Andrews mentioned it, so we probably mention again publicly that we're looking at a 10th straight no tax increase budget.
Great, great. Well, you're thanking us, but we know that you and your staff do all the heavy lifting, so thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, citizens' comments. Hearing none, then, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Lees,
Second?
second by Vice President Rogers. Any questions or comments?
Nope.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thanks for coming out, folks.